In this video, we are going to build a Todo application with Next.js 14 and DynamoDB. We can do CRUD operations like create, adding a to-do. Let's say pay the bills. And if you want, you can edit it. This. Or if you want to delete a to-do, you can just click it. So if you have completed it, you can just click this check mark. It will just go off. Let's start with building a simple Next.js application. Open a terminal in the location where you want to create the project. Let's go with npx create next app latest and give your project name DynamoDB. Dynamo to do. Let's go with that. Yes, we need TypeScript, ESLint, Tailwind CSS. We don't need the source directory. We need the app router. So after creating the app, we just need to go into it. cd DynamoDB to do. We just need to install two packages from AWS SDK. So npm install AWS SDK slash client DynamoDB, and we just need to install AWS SDK slash lib DynamoDB. After installing the packages, let's just open it in VS Code. So let's do a little bit of cleanup here, like so in the layout. Let's just add a bit of CSS. So let's add a background of BG gray 900 and the text of gray 50 and min height of the screen. So in page.jsx, let's go with BG gray of 800 and width of 4x5. So I divides the width of the screen into 5 parts and fill it with 4 parts. And we have to make it center, right? So mx auto and margin top of 20. Let's have a padding of 5. We need it round at launch. Let's just have hello here. So let's open the terminal and let's see how it runs. npm run dev. Let's go to almost 3000. So we can see the background here and hello here. So the background is a little bit different here. I think we need to remove the global CSS file. So we'll just leave the Tailwind CSS part and remove everything else. Yeah, now it's fine. So now let's start building this just a table UI. This is going to be one div and the table is going to be in another div. So let's go with so let's create two divs here. So in this it's going to be the table and let's build here another div for Todos and we'll have a button to add a to do. Add to do. So first name of flex justify between items center and margin bottom of 3. So add that. So yeah, we can see it's working now. Let's increase the font size of the to do. So a class name text of 3 XL and the text needs to be white. Yeah, now let's go with the button styling. So class name BG blue 500 text of white PX3 and PY3. Let's go with PX5. Make it look like a rectangle. Text of XL rounded XL. Yeah, that looks good. Now for the table, margin top of 5 and let's create a table. T head. So class for this table should go like it should take a full width, which is the 4x5 that we gave in the layout. Not in the layout, I think it's here. Yeah, in the main table. So border rounded XL and overflow should be hidden. For the T head, blue 900 for the header background, and let's create a row in the header and th done. So class name here will be like text center py of 3 border color should be like pg gray 500 text large. So if we know single done, so let's create a multiple columns now. Let's go with task and edit and delete. Sorry. So we just need one tier here, like for the whole header. Let's just replace things. Yeah, it works now. So just make sure all the th should be in a single tier tag. And let's go with the table body. So table t body. In t body, let's create another tier tag. Table row. In the place of done, we need like a little checkbox. So for that, let's give the CSS for this tier tag. So the class name is going to be like text should be centered. If it is an odd row, then we should give the bg gray of 700. If it is an even row, we need to change the color to, we have 600, right? So bg we have 600. Yeah. Now in the 3D, let's give a class name of py3 border gray 500. So we need to create a, I just created to do here. So read a book. So we need this checkup box here. So let's do it like a button. So inside the TD, let's create a button. Inside that button, let's go with a div of class name with 4 height 4 cursor pointer border, and border should be of white color and rounded small. Yeah, we have it here. So then after this, we'll create another TD and payables. It's just a static to do now. Let's add it with AWS later after building the UI. Payable. This is gonna have the same class name of another TD here. So this is going to be for edit and delete. So edit, delete. Now for edit and delete, we need a button like, right now we don't need it for the UI, but we need it like an on-click function to write. We can also do it in a div, but I'm just going to go with a button here. Yeah. So this is the UI now. So let's see if it works for multiple rows. I'll paste it like 4 times now. Yeah. We are done with the table UI. So let's go with setting up the AWS now. Let's set up our AWS. So first we need to create a user to access it. So I have logged in to my AWS dashboard, and let's go to IAM. If you can't find it here, just search it like IAM here. You can just go into it. And let's create a new user like Todo Next. Let's go with that. You can just any name you want here. We need to attach a policy directly. So for this user, we only need DynamoDB. So we'll just search and give Amazon DynamoDB full access. So it can do all the CRUD operations in DynamoDB and it can't access anything else. So let's go to next. Create user. After the user has been created, you can see it here. Let's just open it. And we need to create an access key. You can give anything you want here. They're just using it to see the use case of it. For now, we're just using it as local code. Okay, next. Create access key. So we can see that we have an access key and secret access key. We need to add them in our env file. So let's create one now. .env.local. Let me just take the variable names. Yeah. So you can just click the copy symbol here and you can paste it here, and you can do the same for secret key also. So let me just do that and I'll be back. After copying your keys, you can also download them in a CSV file if you want to access them in the future. So done. Now let's go to DynamoDB. Yeah. Make sure you are in the region closest to you. I'm in AP South on Mumbai, and we need to create a new table here. You can just click on create table. You can have any name here. I'm just going to create a to do in the table name, and let's just give it an ID of number. We can have other things as default and create a table for now. Yeah, you can see that to do next is the table for this thing I already built. So for data, we are going to have like the ID number which we will generate it via code, and status is like true, false. So to do is just a text column and status is a boolean column. And we don't need to create those data here, so we'll just do it via code in Next.js. We can see our table has been created and it is active now. We don't have to open AWS anymore. And yeah, I think we need to set up a db config file for AWS. Let's create a utils folder in the parent utils, and let's create a dbconfig.cs. dbconfig.ts, and we want this code to be uh, access only in the server. We don't want the client since we are going to use the secret key here. So server only. This will make sure it is not bundled and sent to the client. So const region is equal to. So here you can just give the region where you have created that table. So for me, AP South 1. And now let's create a if condition to make sure that we have the AWS keys in the environment variables and throw an error if we don't have one. So let's just write if process dot env dot aws underscore access underscore key underscore id, and the same. So AWS secret key. Yeah. Now if we don't have any one of them, we just need to throw an error. So throw new error, cannot read env variables. Variable one access key id or the secret key. So if we have one, let's go with creating the client object for const ddb client config DynamoDB client config from client DynamoDB. So make sure you're importing it correctly. Equal to region. Let's give a region variable here, and credentials. Access key ID is going to be process. Same here. Let me just copy this. Secret access key is going to be this key. Yeah. Now let's create a DDB DynamoDB client. It's going to be new DynamoDB client. from the client SDK, and let's just pause this config here. So after this, let's create marshal options and unmarshal options. So marshal options is going to be like translate config of marshal options equal to convert empty values of false and remove undefined values to true. Convert class instance to map is going to be false. So same goes for the unmarshal options. Const unmarshal options translate config wrap numbers to false. Yeah. So we need to add them to the translate config. So const translate config with small t extends from config, which is equal to these two things, marshal options and unmarshal options. Yeah. Now let's create the DDB document client equal to Dynamo document client from our DB client with the translate config, and let's just export it. Yeah, that's good. So here the marshal and the unmarshal options like defines how the data is converted between the DynamoDB's format and the JS format. So that's why we are using it. And this DynamoDB doc client is the instance created from the DynamoDB client. So we're just creating a document client for it, which we can use it to use CRUD operations on a single document. So DynamoDB is a document-based database. So we are going with like that. Now let's build the server actions. So to do the CRUD operations like adding Todos, getting Todos, update and deleting them. So in the parent directory, let's create a folder called actions, in which let's go with add todo.ts, which is going to be like a server action. Since so we have to use server. So export interface todo item. We are just going to have three things like the ID, which is going to be of type number, and todo, which is going to be of string, and status, which is going to be of boolean. Yeah. So let me just close other things. Yeah. After this, we are going to export const add todo is equal to async. It's going to get a variable of string here, parameter string here. So try, if the try thing doesn't work, then we need to catch those errors and we need to throw them out. So we need to do things. One is to print them in the console, another is to send it to the client, the browser. Console.error will print the error in the console. So database error, throw new error, database error failed to create todo. Yeah, this works in the try parts. Let's create a param const params is equal to. We need two things here: the table name and the item we are going to add to the table. So table name is going to be to do. I think that is what we have added there. Yeah, to do. And in the item, first we need an ID. We have forwards which we will use math.flow and math.random will multiply into with something like 10,000 and we'll get a number from it. You can just use it as an ID. To do is going to be the to do that we got it as a parameter here, and the status is going to be false for now. And we need to send this parameter to the client. So we need to use await db ddb doc client dot send and new put command of params. Yeah, this will send it to the DynamoDB and it will create the todo if there is no error. So make sure these things are imported while creating this line. That's it. I think we can add todo now with this. Now let's write the server action to get the todos. So for that, I'm going to create a new file here. Get todos.ts. This is going to be same as before, so let me just copy it from here. We don't need a put command and we have to write to another file. We are going to get the todos from DynamoDB. So let me just have fail to get todos. So get todos. We are not going to get any parameters here. So we need to get the data. So data is going to be from scan command output from I think lib equal to await dd doc client dot send. In that going to send a new scan command from lib which is going to take table name. It's going to be to do for us. And what we need is we don't need every single to dos, so we need the to dos that are not yet done. So we have the status column, right? In status column we have true and false. So if it is true, the to do has been completed, so we don't have to show that to dos in the UI. So we are going to filter the data. So we need filter expression with status is equal to status val. Status is a keyword in DynamoDB, so it's not gonna take to our status. So since status is already a keyword used in DynamoDB somewhere, we need to make sure this is in our own property. So we are going to add this as in front of it, and we have to give some expression attribute name. In expression attribute name, we have to say that this hashtag status is our status. So we are linking it, like giving an ID to our column and linking it where, like for names we have to give also for values. So expression attribute values, and for values we are going to say that this status val is going to be false. So it will take everything that has the status of false and send it to us. So we are going to just return this data, return data.items as to do items to do item. So this is a single to do. We are going to make it an array or going to be an empty list. So next let's go with updating the to do. So another file and update to do.ts. This is mostly going to be like this, so let me just copy it and paste it here. Fail to update to do. We are gonna needing this line, and yeah, just I'm just copying it to make it. Yeah. So this looks good. Let's start with the parameters we need. We are going to need three parameters here. One is the ID, to do, and the status, which is going to be of type to do item. Then in the try, we are going to write await ddb.client.send. We are going to write a new update command. Yeah, which is going to take a table name to do key of ID, capital K and key, and the update expression is going to be like set to do is equal to do val, and for status, since status is already a keyword, we have to define our own, is equal to status val. Yeah. Now expression attribute names, status is going to be status. Since to do is not a keyword in DynamoDB, we don't have to define that. This needs to be in string. Expression attribute values, to do where is going to be the to do, and status where is going to be status. I don't need one here. Yeah, this looks good. Now it will send everything and it will throw the error if anything happens, but this should work good. So now let's go with deleting the to do. So we'll create another file, delete todo.ts. So we'll place the same thing, same outer parts. So where to delete to do. For deleting to do, we don't need all these things. So we'll just be needing the ID part of it, and we know that this ID is going to be string. Sorry, this ID is going to be a number. So we don't have to write this much. So if we take these curly brackets, we can just define it like this. Yeah. Try, we're going to write await ddb client dot send new delete command table name is going to be to do, and key is going to be, so key, we have the ID fields that we have defined. So we are going to delete our ID, which will delete that particular to do. Yeah, that's it to delete it. So we have built our server actions. Now we are going to add some to-do set first to see if everything works. So we need to add a to-do. So let's just go to page.tsx. We'll close other files. I think I haven't zoomed in yet. Yeah, little bit. And we'll just close the table for now. So we have a button to add to do. So what I'm thinking is like we need a pop-up, right? If we see here in there, we can add a to do in a pop-up. So let's say hi for now. So after adding the to do, if we need to edit it, we are going to see the same pop-up with a different message and text. That's it. We'll use the same component for both of these. Let's create a components folder here, the parent directory, components. In that, we'll create a file called popup.tsx. Since it's going to be a client component, so use client, and we are going to need some props here. So interface popup props. We need to know if the popup is open or not. So if open is going to be a boolean, and we need to know what to do on close. So on close is going to return square functions, okay, and it's going to get the children. So what do we need to put inside this popup? React node. Yeah, so const popup is going to be react.fc of popup props, which is going to take the parameters is open, on close, children, everything. So let's go with like, so if this open is false, we are going to return null, and the return, going to write a div. So this div is going to give the location, like we have need it in the center of the screen, right? So we are going to do that, and we will have another div inside that. It will give like the UI look, like the background color and the padding and everything. Within that we will have the button. So in button, so we need a button to close it. So this close icon here, so we need that in button. For that, what we need is that, and times, this is the code for that X symbol, and we are just going to show the children that is passed to it. Let's start with this. Class is equal to, let's keep it fixed, in set of 0 flex items center, justify center, bg of black, bg opacity, we're going to turn on the opacity to 50, and the z index going to be, let's say, 50. Yeah, now let's go with class name here, bg of gray 800, padding of 8, rounded, shadow large, relative. Yeah. So the x is going to be like based at this top corner or so we have to push it down later. So class name is going to be absolute top to right 3. So it will come down. So text gray 500, and if we hover over it, we need the text to be gray 700. So we have just the look. Yeah. So here in on click, we have to tell the button, like when it clicks, we have to close, right? So on click, we need to tell it what do we need to do. So we'll just pause it on close, which we will pause it to the this component when we use it. That's it. This is a pop-up component. Now let's go to our page.tsx, and here we are going to use like client interaction. So we need to make this page use client. So the thing about is that we don't have to make this whole page the use client, but we have to make it separate components. So adding to do, we need use client for it, but if we use it in a separate component, it's just more work. I'm just going to make this file, this entire file page as use client. If you want, you can make sure that everything's in a separate component, but what I'm coming to say is that you have this in a separate component, the table in a separate component, because we need the table to be also in a client side, since we are going to have interaction with edit, delete, and the done buttons. So what we can do is that keep this page as use client, since in our use case, we don't have anything else in this page that needs only server things or anything. We just need everything to be user interactive, right? So we can make this page fully user interactive. There's no problem with it. Let's create some use state variables here. So const, we need a first, let's try to add a to do, right? So we need to write is popup open and set is popup open with I capital. This is going to be your state of boolean. So state of false at default. So popup is not open at first, right? So we need to keep it like that. And what we're gonna do is, let's import this popup first. Const open popup function is equal to, so when we need to open up the popup, we are going to state is popup open to true. So this, it will be passed to the popup component here. So it's open, and we also need is on close. Const close popup is equal to, it will be like set is popup open to false. So that's it. Now let's try to add this to the button here. On click is going to make open popup. Yeah, this will make sure the popup is open. Now it won't work since we haven't done anything in the popup. We haven't imported the popup yet, but it should work if we have the popup component here. So popup, we haven't imported it. No. There's a file here. Okay. If we take the popup component, we have not exported this popup, so export default popup. I think this will make sure that we are importing the, yeah, now it's imported correctly. is open is going to be is pop-up open, and on close we are going to close the pop-up, so let's just use close pop-up, and then we have to send in our children, right? So for our children we will use a form. So in this form let's write a class name. We have to make it center, right? So we'll have mx auto here, and let's create a div of class name margin bottom of 5. So we need a label for the field. So label is going to be to do. So this is going to be HTML for to do. The input field class name is going to be blog margin bottom of 2, text of small, font medium, text white. Yeah. Now that we have a label, let's create our input field. Input. We need to make this input required, and this is going to be of type text. We'll give it an ID as to do, and placeholder, enter your task. We'll add in the class names here. It's going to be like text of small, rounded large, block width of full. It's going to take the entire width of this pop-up component with some margin, so we'll add some padding around it, and bg going to be gray 700, and let's make the border to be gray of 600. And let's change the placeholder color also, the double placeholder gray 400. After that, text white, go with shadow of small light. Okay. Now let's see if we can add our to do here. Yeah. Oh, okay. We don't have the button here. Okay. We have a button here. Now button, we are going to write add to do for now. This is going to be a submit type, and class name like px of 2, py of 2, px of 4 actually, bg blue 500, text of white, rounded lg, rounded lg. Now we need to give an on submit in the form. So on submit, we are going to like handle to do submit. We haven't created this function here. Const handle to do submit is equal to async It's going to get an event or form event. HTML form element. So now it is going to be like, so we have to disable the default behavior of submitting the form, so prevent default. After this, we need to get our that to do from that form. So const target, which is going to be all the value of to do event dot target as type of event dot target. So if it exists, sorry, we are going to have the to do, which is going to be of value string. So after target, we'll have a try catch block here. So try catch error. If we get this error we passed in the server actions, we'll just throw that error to the UI. So inside try, we're just going to add the to do. So await add to do from actions. So we can say that it is imported from actions. So at to do, we're just going to pass in our to do. So target dot to do that value. Yeah. After adding the to do, we have to close the pop-up. Close pop. Yeah. I think this will work for now. I click add to do and I say pay the bill. I think it's added behind. Let's go to our table here, and in here go to items, explore items. Yeah, we can see that it does generate an ID, status of false, and pay the bills. Okay, now let me just show you real quick how this error thing works. Now let's go to that. If we take our add to do function, let's say we're missing something here in the idea. Let's say we'll spell the table name as wrong here. We won't be having a to do name here, right? See table name here, the table. So if I'm going to like do something like add to do, we can see that error pops up here. Database error failed to create to do. We can also see in our console failed to add a to do. This is going to be same for other things too, like for environment variables and other actions like that. So let me just redo it. Now in our page the tsx. Now that we have added a to do, we need to show like these things are static now. So we need to show the actual to dos from the DB, right? So let's do that for now. So here, let me just close this pop-up real quick, and I will have just one row here first and close other rows. So in order to work with here, we need to load the data from the database. After this pop-up open, we need to have const table data. Let's name it as table data and set table data is equal to use state of to do. We need it as to be a to do, which is going to have an empty list for now. This to do is same like the to do items here. So let me just copy it. We can also import it from here, but since it is a client component, we can't actually do that. Or we can export this to do from here and there. I'm just going to leave it as it is. Now it works, yeah. Now we need to load the to do. So here const load table data. It's going to be an async of we'll have another try catch. Let's do this, yeah. We just throw an error. Const to do's. Const to do's. Will be of type of to do array, which we are going to get from the get to do's sub action to do's. We are going to set the table as the to do to do's. Yeah. Now that we have our data here, make sure that get to do's is also imported. This tr is going to be looped, and we will have as many rows as our number of to do's. We will use map function for that. Let me just copy it. Yeah. Now table data. If table data exists, like if we have some to do's, then only we are going to show this thing. So table data dot map, we are going to have a row and an idx to have the id. And we are going to just paste this, and let's go with idx key is equal to idx. It's going to be a row dot to do. Yeah, I think it's because we haven't called the load. Okay, we haven't called the load table data that function yet, so this is not bringing any to-dos since we don't have any to-do retrieved. So we have to call this function here. So we'll just use a use effect for that to make it simple. Use effect. This will load the data now. F5. An error. Failed to get to-dos. Show no data. This is have to be string. I don't know why I have done this. That's the problem here. Make sure this data is inside a string. Then it's going to, let me just save this. Yeah, now it's compiled. F5. Yeah, as we can see, we have pay the bill. Let me just add a to do here. Before we add another to do, let me just do one thing. We're now going to copy this table data, and we need to call this table data after we add the to do. So in order to load the to dos right after we added it, so after trying to add the to do and close the pop-up, we will just load this table data here. So it will update the data easily. So add to do and read a book. Yeah, as we can see, we can add more. So let's say meet summer. Add to do. Yeah, now it works good. Now we have to do three things: this done and edit and delete. So let's go with. We're having an error here. Failed to get to do. Why is that now? Okay. In use effect, I forgot to add this array. That's why it will send multiple times. That's why it says failed to get to do, since AWS stopped my request, since I'm doing it like an instant request multiple times. So make sure in your use effect you add this array here. Now if I run, I don't have any errors. I won't have any errors. F5. Yeah, now it works. So let's just add another to do to try it. So read an email or send an email. So we'll just send it when we are using the edit. Okay. Now let's do one more things, like we have three things to do, right? Done, edit, and the delete. So we are still getting an error here. Fail to get to do. Why am I getting this? So I think I haven't saved the file. Is that why? I don't know. Let's just see if the error keeps coming up. So turns out I haven't saved the file. That's why the error kept. So even though I added this, since I haven't saved the file and just restarted the server, the same error appeared. That's it. I have turned off autosave. That's the problem here. Now let's continue with our thing. So let's just do our done to do, since it's going to be that easy, right? For starting, let's just do done to do, then let's go with deleting it, and let's do the edit, then it's over. So for our done to do, it's in our button here, we are going to say on click a function like done to do row. Now we need to create this function. Where do we put this? Yeah, let's do it after this const done to do, which is going to be of async, which is going to take in a to do of to do. So this to do, we have paused the entire row here. If you go there, you can see that entire row. This row is eventually this to do only, so we're just pausing it. So we have a try catch here. If there's any error, we'll just throw it out in the UI. So no, we need to update the to do. We'll just call it update to do. Why is it not showing up? Yeah, I haven't changed the name here. Okay, update to do. So we are going to have other things as same. So we'll just spread the to do. We'll change one thing, that is the status of thing to true. from false to true, so we are just done. We have updated it. Now let's just load the data. Load table data. Yeah. After we are done, we'll load the table data again. So if it is changed to true, it will not show in the UI. That's going to occur. So let's say I have made that someone. If I click here, yeah, it's gone. Let's say I have paid the bills. Yeah, that works. Now let's go with the delete. Delete is going to be like the same. So in our button, just add an on click function. Delete to do. Since we have the same name here, we just change it to delete item. You can have whatever name you want. Delete item of row.id. So we're just pausing in the ID. That's it. So we'll just create this function now. So after done to do, we'll just go with delete to do, delete item, which is going to be an async, which is going to get an ID of number. And we are going to do a try catch again. Just throw that error to the right, and here we'll await to delete that delete to do. I think I have done the same mistake of naming the it. Yeah, in delete to do also we have to change it to delete to do name. Make sure you have done it. I'm sorry, I haven't seen that mistake. So delete to do is going to take in that ID. So after we await for that to done, load table data again. After deleting it, we are going to load the table data again. Yeah, we have read a book and read an email. Let's say I have finished reading the book. Click on delete. It's deleted now. If I go and press refresh here, you can see that read an email is still false. That is why we are seeing it here. And we can see that meet someone and pay the bills are true. So we are not seeing it. Since we are done doing that, now let's go to edit part. The edit part is like a little tricky one. I wouldn't say tricky. What we are going to do is edit this same things here, handle submit and the pop-up to make the add and edit in the same area, so we don't have to create additional functions for it. Since both are same but have a little difference, like if we are doing the editing, we just have to make sure in that handle to submit function we are submitting instead of add to do to, we just have to write an if condition and we'll make sure that it goes to update to do instead of add to do. So let's do. So for now, in the edit button, we have to write an on click function here, right? So on click. We have to make sure the pop-up is open. True. True. Yeah. Set edit to do. We'll just create an use state called edit to do, and we'll just store this row here. So I haven't created that use state yet. Let's go create one const edit to do and set edit to do, which is going to be a new state of to do. or it's going to be undefined. If it's not to do, if it's going to stay as undefined. Yeah, it's working now. So we can use an if condition in this edit to do's, like if there is a to do, go to edit. If it's not, we'll just add a new to do, like that. So we can use the default same open pop-up and close pop-up. One thing we have to do is that, let's say the user like edits the thing and they just close it without pressing the button like edit to do, then that data will be still stored in the new state, right? So when we are trying to add a new to do, we'll have the same text that we have from the edit to do. We won't be able to add the to do. So we need to make sure when we close the to do, we are making sure that the edit to do new state is stays undefined. So we can make sure they can add the to do even though they are open to do and they have not edited the to do. Yeah. If you want to know how it works, you can just remove this line and try it. You will know why this line needs to be there. So now we have to do two things. One is to handle the submit and the other is to add the input field. So if we see here inside, let me just close this table for now. We don't need this table to edit this table anymore. Yeah, we are going to work on this problem. This input field is going to get the input, but if we add a value here, we have to write on change and everything else. So what I'm going to do is that I'm going to write a if condition here. We are going to add one here to make sure that we have two inputs. One is for edit and one is for add. Only one input is going to show in the front depending on what button we have clicked. In order to do that, we'll just open curly braces. Edit to do. We will ask if it exists or not. If it exists, like edit to do is there instead of undefined, we'll have an input for it. And if it isn't there, let me just put it down here. Yeah, now everything should work, but we need to add some things here, right? So our class name, placeholder, IDs, and everything is going to be same here. We'll also make it required. One thing is going to change is that we are going to add an on change function here. On change, it's going to take an event E, and we have to set edit to do. We have to update the to do inside the edit to do use state. We'll have the previous value here. We can have whatever name we want, and we'll make sure that prayer if and previous value exists in the edit to do state, we'll spread that previous values and just update that to do. Like we'll just update that to do alone with e.target.value. Yeah, but if we don't have this previous value in the edit state, we'll just add an id of 0. This is not going to happen in our case, but we have to make sure that nothing happens, right? So a.target.value will, it's like creating a new to do, but we don't have to do that since we will have an input field for it. But since we're using TypeScript, we'll just go with it. I've saved it. So we can see that we're going to take an event that updates whenever we type something on the keyboard. It's going to make sure that set edit to do is updated E as an implicit type of any. Just it's going to be a type of any, yeah. Okay, yeah. If I click on edit, you can see nothing happens. It's the same as add to do and stuff. It's because I haven't not added that value field here. Yeah, value of this input field is going to be our edit to do's to do. So as we can see, now our value appears. But we need to make sure that edit to do appears here in text instead of add to do, right? So let's just go on do that now. Same as for the input fields. So we'll just remove this add to do. We'll say edit to do, and if it exists, we have to update it to do, or we'll just go with add to do. Yeah, now it works. Now, when they click on the button, we have to handle it differently now. So when we go to our added function, we have to change just few things here. That is going to be try. I'm just going to make sure if this is an edit to do, like if the edit to do exists, we're going to make sure that is updated. So update to do of edit to do is, we'll make sure our to do is added instead of edited. Yeah, that's it. We can now edit our to do too. Let me just refresh the page. Let's say instead of read a mail, I want to change it as write a mail. I can go with write a mail to someone. Yeah, you can see our task has been updated. So our to do is updated. We have a done function, we have a edit, we have a delete. Let's just make sure everything works fine by building this out. So let's just close everything here, and the terminal, I'm just going to run npm run build. Yeah, now that our build is completed successfully, we'll run it by npm run start. Yeah, now it's working in our localhost 3000. It's same here. We can see now I can write a to do like eat something at. Now I've written that I write an email, so I'll just click on here. Now I need to edit it, and instead of eat something, I'll just go with eat an apple. Update the to do. It's updating. I'm just gonna delete it. As we can see, we don't have anything active to do's now, like with the status of false. Let me just refresh here. We can see that the to do everything we have here is true, and the to do's that we have deleted doesn't stay in the database. So that's it. So this is the application now we have created. I will put the GitHub link in the description below. So if you want, you can go check it out. If you have any others, you can look into it. And if you like this type of contents, do consider subscribing to my channel. Thanks for watching.